Have you ever noticed yourself getting a little quieter in a relationship? Holding back your thoughts? Maybe you're second-guessing what you were about to say, or you're slowly becoming a version of yourself that just feels smaller. It doesn't usually happen all at once. It happens in subtle ways. You let something go to avoid a conflict. You adjust your personality to keep the peace. You stop doing things you once loved because it makes someone else feel uncomfortable. And at first, it feels like you're just being kind, flexible, easy to be around. It feels like love. But over time, something starts to feel off, because the more you adjust yourself, the less of you is actually showing up. And most of the time, people don't realize it's happening. They think they're maintaining a relationship, when what they are really doing is, they're slowly losing themselves inside of it. And here's the truth. Any relationship that requires you to become less of who you are just to maintain it is costing you more than you think. Each person was created with a unique way of thinking, speaking, creating, and showing up in the world. Your voice, your perspective, your personality. Those aren't random. They're part of what makes you, you. And when you start shrinking those parts of yourself, not because you've grown, but because you're trying to be accepted, you create a quiet kind of disconnect inside. And over time, that disconnect can turn into things like resentment, confusion about who you are, or even feeling stuck and unfulfilled in your own life. And it isn't because something is wrong with you, but it's because you've been holding back parts of yourself that were never meant to be hidden. Now, this doesn't mean relationships don't require compromise. Of course they do. Healthy relationships involve listening, growing, adjusting, and sometimes making sacrifices. But there's a difference between growing together and shrinking yourself to fit into a relationship. Growth expands you, shrinking diminishes you, and the two are not the same. A lot of this comes from a very human place, the desire to be accepted, to be loved, to not lose the connection. And so we adapt. We become who we think the other person needs us to be. But if we're not careful, we end up building relationships where we can't fully be ourselves. And that's a hard place to live, because real connection doesn't come from being a version of yourself that feels safe. It comes from being real. From being honest about who you are, what you think, and what matters to you. And yes, that can feel risky. Because the moment you stop shrinking, things might shift. Some people may not respond the same way. Some relationships may feel different. But here's something important to remember. If a relationship can only function when you're making yourself smaller, it's not really supporting who you are, and you deserve to exist fully in your own life. To speak without constantly filtering yourself. To pursue what matters to you. To show up as the person you actually are. Not a reduced version. Not a more convenient version. The real you. And when you begin to do that, something changes. You feel more grounded, more clear, more at peace with yourself. And the relationships that remain, they become more honest, more balanced, and more real. So if you think you may have been shrinking yourself lately, this is your reminder. You don't have to become less to be loved. You don't have to silence yourself to keep the peace. And you don't have to trade who you are just to hold on to a relationship. The right connections in your life will have room for you to fully exist, because you were never meant to live your life as a smaller version of yourself. You were meant to live it fully. And the moment you stop shrinking is the moment you start coming back to who you really are. Until I see you back here next time, have a blessed week. Bye for now.